Hello, everyone, and welcome to Catching the Foxes, a podcast that dares to ask, dare we to hope? I mean, just in general, it's pretty dark right now. I'm Luke, and as always, I have my buddy here, Gomer. Say hi to the kids.
Hello, it's
We're
Gomer
here.
time.
Sorry
Every
about-
day is Gomer Day.
Every day is Gomer Day when you're in Catching Foxes land. Until
I don't know
all
if
of a
that's a good
sudden
thing
you
or
have
a
your
bad
period, then it's Luke Day. That time of the month.
That's accurate. That's accurate. How you doing, bud?
Good. I've been very, very busy, which is good. I had a lot of family in town. That was absolutely wonderful. I have drank more in the last week than I have in the last, 8 months. That's been great. Thrilled to have that back in my life.
Why?
Just because I had family in town, and so it just, I, when I'm watching Everly, I typically do not drink, but if I'm with family, I will partake. And
That makes sense.
there was one night when I did not. We were at this really cool, kid-friendly bar kind of place where there was a lot of outside toys and stuff, and I was like, ho, here we go. And so, anytime the Carrie siblings plus Emily, because she's not a Carrie anymore, are together, she's going to lose her mind over that. There's
Once
just...
a Carrie, always a Carrie.
That's true. That's why you're still a Carrie Gomer.
I
You've
know.
been to, 3 Thanksgivings?
And how? And several fall breaks.
Yeah, several fall breaks. It's true. And one funeral. Listen, it's not a day.
That was such a fascinating funeral because in a certain sense people knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In a certain sense, obviously death always surprises you.
This is my dad's funeral for people who aren't aware.
Yeah, I don't know why I think everyone would automatically know that, but flying there and then seeing so many of Luke's close friends who came to support him, especially my favorite being Sarah Nickel. Not my favorite.
All of my mom's friends were like, "Why aren't you dating her?" And I was like, "It's an emotional time, and there's someone else." And that's going to be a disaster for the next, let's say, 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go on.
But no, it was cool seeing how your family loves each other. Let me just put it that way. I just love it. I love your family. I've always loved your family. And it's just cool to see how they loved each other in the middle of all that. And it was also interesting because it was after... I think I did the third Thanksgiving I spent with the Kissinger family. So I did 2 Thanksgivings and 2 fall breaks and probably some other spring thing. But
random weekends.
Yeah. But,
when Emily had her homecoming and we were in the car and they were taking pictures, we kept driving by and honking.
Yes. That will always live in my heart. But yeah, so anywho, I just think the world of your family. So
same. But
it's such a huge chapter to close on your life, the death of a parent, right? Or both parents eventually, and to feel the weight of that. I was just listening to the story I was watching a clip of Theo Vaughn talking with a guy, I can't remember who it was, and he was like, "Did one of your parents die when you were young?" And he said, "Yeah, my dad when I was 16." And he goes, "My dad died when I was 16, and it was cancer." And so they started talking about it, and it was, Theo Vaughn is the goofiest SOB on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
But then it was this incredibly tender moment that looms large in my own mind. I took my boys over to my parents' house today to do a bunch of yard work for them, and my boys were incredible. They understood we are doing this because Grandmom and Pop-Pop no longer can. And so they didn't complain. My son Thomas started complaining. I was like, Thomas. And he's like, no. And then the whole time they were like, "We're so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Dad, for bringing us. It was so good to see Grandmom and Pop-Pop." We just saw him a week and a half ago. It's not, but it's an awareness of the sand in the hourglass is running out. And they're trying to get as much of these moments in as they can. And it's kind of beautiful.
Yeah. 2 thoughts about that. There is something that's very interesting about weddings and when you have a funeral. It's a lot, not always, but it's quite often, particularly when it happens when you're young to a certain extent, for both a wedding and when you having a funeral for a person that if they die young or you're relatively young.
The funerals you go to of your friends, you mostly go to weddings. The funerals you go to are all tragedies, for stuff that when you're young.
And everyone comes together. So it's everyone, right? I remember being there was, my friend Tristan, her parents were there. A bunch of random people from college that were able to come in the town did. People that, there are people who tried to. I remember talking to now Christy Ruth, then our friend Christy Pine. She almost I want to say she had a work thing and she almost just like stayed up the whole night to be able to like drive through the night to get there in the morning from I think she was in Philly. You know, I remember Brian Kissinger like had a trip planned out to like Europe, and he was like, "Oh, he couldn't go." You want to, you know, just like I don't know, just like you see different people from like high school and from my life at that point, you know, like my good buddy Aaron, he has been like one of my best friends since I was in like third grade, and during like high school, seeing him and his girlfriend hanging out with all of my friends from school, and just different people from different parts of life, you know, and then when they're there with both sides of your family and everyone that's important to you, it's pretty cool. And you know, I'm of an age right now where I'm very lucky to have one grandparent still, you know, and it's I know. And it's hard to see the people that like you love age, and for that stuff that, you know, it's hard, but like I'm glad that your boys were able to do that. There's something about being able to. I will never forget. I believe I've talked about this before on my podcast, but when my dad, when it was bad and we had called an ambulance, he couldn't tie his shoe. So I put on his shoes and I tied his shoes for him. And I remember having this thought of like, this is bad. This could be the last thing I do for him. And I'll do this, you know, and just like, it wasn't, you know, wasn't anything profoundly unmoving. It was just like, let me just do something. Let me just do something in this moment. You know, as much as I emphasize the importance of receptivity, that's only because quite often we talk so much about action, but action is just as important. You know, it's a both and there's something about when you're able to serve people in those particular moments. And you don't count the cost. I mean, who does? Maybe a psychopath, I don't know, or like sociopath, but like pretty much any like one of us can. It's like I'm the type of guy that's like, for the most part, everyone can step up in the big moments for the most part, right? And really, the grace isn't for the other person; it's typically for you. And I don't know, and it just Well, we got dark fast. Hi, everyone.
We did.
Yeah.
We did, you know, and I think it's okay because one of the things is like the awareness, you know, frater memento mori, brothers remember your death, is a very important thing in our household that we don't really talk a lot about, like on this show.
We don't actually.
But it's like, you know, the Stoics, that was a key phrase. You know, in the Bible, it's a key phrase. Remember your death and you will cease from sin. Like, it's an understanding. So I've been trying to share that with my kids, which is really hard. So, for instance, with Kateri is dying to have another show with you. And she brings it up all the time. Literally on my bookshelf. That you see that piece of paper right there in the background? It's her show notes that she wants to talk about with you.
My gosh, please. Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's for her, it's about friendship and what she suffered in like an about-face loss of friends and a rejection from a friend group and all this stuff, even though she can be friends with anyone kind of thing. And of course, I'm very partial and biased, and I think everyone else's kids are crap compared to mine. But when like there was this part where there's like this group of kids, and my daughter was ostracized for like the umpteenth time by them. And I just said, like, I just asked her questions about the negativity of this group. And I said, are they mean? Yes. To other people? Yes. Are they mean to each other? Yes. Are they this? Yeah. Do they eat each other? Right? Like they consume one another. All this stuff. And she's like, yes, yes, yes. And I said, so it's disordered for you to want to belong to that group. But the reason why you do is because they're cool. Right? Like you're willing to be a part of a group of people that you kind of don't even like because they're cool. But the only reason why they're cool is because they just make fun of everyone and everything all the time, including each other. And that's not your vibe. You're a positive person. You're an outgoing person. So as we were talking about this, I was like, look, none of this will matter when you're dead, except for the type of person you become. And for my boys, like talking about death in terms of like we've buried several kids, you know, in our family. Yeah, we've gone to the funerals of several kids, babies, 2-year-olds, 10-year-olds. And I take my kids to this. We go as a family, and I take my kids to this. Our own miscarriages with these 3 children, Hope, Benedict, and Perpetua, very much a part of our family and our devotions and stuff like that. We had a friend's kid who died, and that baby was baptized and then confirmed before it took its last breath. And so you think of these things, and it's like you don't celebrate a funeral mass, you celebrate the Mass of the Holy Angels, because that kid is baptized and confirmed, like escorted by the angels right into glory. And that's something my kids didn't get, right? The miscarriages because of the There was no baptism. But you sit there and you think about all this stuff. And then it's like, if I don't talk about it, how do their little minds and hearts know how to process this stuff? And then just being like, okay, I know this is super heavy and we don't want to talk about it, but grandpa won't always be here. Pop won't always be here. How do we want to act towards Pop before he dies? And then it's like, how do we want to act towards grandmom while she has to care 24/7 for Pop before he dies? Okay. How do we want to act towards grandmom before she dies? And then before I die and mom die? Like, we're all going to die, and death radically, like, it's the ultimate reframer of how we think about things. And it's like, no one's going to care about your social media post in 500 years, in 50 years, pretty much in 5 days. But people will care about how you treated them. And so so like trying to talk about it very sensitively, not pushing them into, because they will get very, weepy and stuff. And I'm like, oh, old Gomer trying to be a philosopher pushed it way too far, then became an abusive tyrant again. Oh,
Cincinnatus, you are not.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. But, it's such a delicate tightrope to be like, the philosopher in me desires them to meditate on these things. Like, what does it mean to say, remember your death, or the world itself will end? So these things the towers that I build will come a-tumbling down. And so it's like, it's not about saying that these things therefore have no value. It's saying their value is transitory. And I need to work towards things that have eternal value. Or don't let the transitory, the temporal, distract me from the eternal, such as my character, right? Who I'm going to be for all eternity.
It is very easy to get caught up as Christians. I think often of the gospel passage where Christ says, don't worry about today, tomorrow has enough like worries in and of itself. I think it's how it goes, right? You're better at this than I am. Also, really quick, to people who are watching on our Patreon, I apologize for the terrible blinds in the background. Everly, when she was around 3, just destroyed them, and I haven't replaced them. Okay, they just stay up like that all the time. Anyways, that was bothering me, and I was feeling a lot of guilt. All right, back to death. It's just so fascinating to me how, as much as Christ talks about being present on today, he also doesn't unnecessarily say be concerned about your future. He says be concerned about eternity. I can't remember, and sorry, I had some like really hot sauce earlier with my rice.
It stays with you. Yeah, stays with you.
It's not the emotions. It's that insanely hot sauce. No, but which is always a great thing to do before you podcast. We just used to be able to get drunk and do this. Do you remember? We used to be able to just get drunk, and 15,000 people would listen. It has changed so much. Podcasting is so different now.
It is.
Anywho,
people expect something out of us.
I know. Oh my gosh. I was trying to explain to a person the other day, like, how much it's changed over the last 5 years. It really is wild. Just the entire medium. It was great. Okay, so what is my point? Like, I remember early high school, particularly, in my dad's Bible, I would read a lot the gospel passage of Christ talking about hell and about how, like, it's like a bird having to move an entire mountain stone by stone, and that's like the first day, right? Or something.
That analogy of what eternity is like is every 1,000 years a bird takes a pebble and drops it on the beach, and then after hundreds of thousands of years builds a mountain. That's day one of eternity, like that. Yeah. Christ doesn't talk about that. Maybe it was in a Me Without You song.
I thought it was in the Gospels. You sure? Mm-hmm. Well,
keep going, and I will do a Bible
Protestant,
Gateway search.
Do not do it in. If you use Chat, GPT.
I'm using Bible Gateway. I already told you, baby.
Okay, all right.
I mean,
I can't wait for Pope Leo to make AI a mortal sin. I am so sick of it.
I'll tell you what. Yesterday, I was writing this script, and I totally screwed up. I was supposed to write a short thing, and instead I looked at all the bullet points. Instead of picking one or two and coming up with a script for it, I took all of them and came up with a script for it. And I worked for a solid week on this, and I sent it to them, and they're like, yeah, this is too much. We don't want this. We just want like one thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm looking back at my notes, and clearly you say that. So I had to redo everything. So I gave 4 7-minute talks on those topics because I pretty much knew them pretty well. And then I took the transcripts of them in the voicemail app, dumped them into a document, and I go through and I'm editing it, and I'm like, this is garbage. So I took that, posted it in Chat GPT, and said, summarize this in a coherent, or reorder this in a coherent and clear way. And it said, okay. And it did it, and I was like, oh, there we go. Copy paste back to the document, send. But it was all my words. How are you?
So I'm glad you just told the public that.
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's getting crazy. But we'll say that for another topic. I got plenty of stuff.
Okay. No, but like that idea of acknowledging eternity while staying present in the moment, right? That's why I think death is an important thing for us to pay attention to, because it's like today in the end, that's the only thing we know for sure is here. You know, like that's it. Everything else is like, and there is there's something really powerful about when you just kind of like, I'm focused on like, yeah, like I've got a book over here. I think Ed Condon actually was the editor of it. I led a study in Lent on it, on the 7 judgments or something. It's really cool. And it's a thing like about like, what am I like, what's going to happen when I die or something. Like there's something, I don't find it very, I don't know. For me, I can freak the F out about the future. I can freak out about the present. I don't necessarily freak out about eternity, and I'm not saying that I should. It's almost like there's a comforting thing when you focus on the fact that I'm going to die. So then what does that mean for everything else in my life? You know, and the fact that like this is where we are heading towards, and that it's reality. It's a way to constantly draw yourself into reality. And Jesus is in reality. And quite often we freak out about the unreal. And my experience in my own life, this is just me. I want to be very, very, very clear here. This is me. This is not a blanket statement at all. So if you think I'm trying to say the anxiety that I have for me tends to come from self-obsession. It comes when I'm focusing on myself, and I cannot be any more clear about the fact that I'm only talking about me. This is not about anxiety in general. I have, been to counseling. I've been like, do I have an anxiety issue? And they're usually like, no, you have a you issue, so like, I don't, so I want to be very clear. Like I'm lucky. I don't have a general anxiety disorder or like anything like around that. Right. So, and that when I focus on death, it takes me out of myself because it draws me into like reality, into a fact that is bigger than itself. I'll think about like death foreverly. I'll think about my own life and how I don't want Everly to be in hell. And so I need to get my crap together right now. I think about that a lot. I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm just being honest. I think about, so that's, I know, I think there's a lot of, and everyone's experience with this is going to be a little bit different, but there's real power in dwelling in reality. And there is very few things that are going to be like more real than the fact that we're all going to die.
Yeah. In the Ignatian Spiritual Exercises, there's so much wisdom in that book. Like the spiritual exercise. You remember the like pinkish maroon book that Father John Ignatius would give all of us whenever we were going through stuff? Like, I mean, there's so much wisdom packed in there, but one of it is like you meditate on your death. Okay. You meditate. Well, he was my spiritual director, but you meditate on your
before
death.
Everyone else's.
That was before he started the servants.
It was.
Anywho.
Sorry, go on.
Did you ever do a silent retreat with him?
No.
Oh, well, you got it.
I know they did a special like one day retreat for me because I was going through so much crap.
Oh, yeah. Now,
Sorry,
so
go on.
The whole thing is like you meditate on all these different things, and the biggest one being the Passion of the Christ and stuff. But in that, and in Inspired by That, True Devotion, Introduction to the Devout Life, you meditate on your death, but you also meditate on the time before your birth. And to me, that one really stood out to me. It's like, think about it. Just think about it. Like, how many happy people, sad people, whatever people existed in the world before you ever came into being?
Yeah, that's really cool.
So it's like you imagine, because the idea is you're trying to hang your hat on your own contingency. Like, really understand that, if this Michael Bolton song and this bottle of wine wasn't consumed, you would not be here.
If Michael Bolton hadn't asked, how can we be lovers? Where would you be?
Where would I be? I would not be here. I would still, never mind. Filter kicked in at the last second. So the funny thing about that is, like, as you start to do this, you see your own contingency, but then you see, and you see more so the glory of God, who's the only necessary being. But then you see that the necessary being desires to have you in union with him. And when you think about that, it's like the most absurd thing. And it's one of the reasons why Greek philosophers couldn't stand Christianity, is because the gods have nothing in common with men, as Aristotle said. And so we cannot be friends with the gods. And St. Thomas defines, that great Aristotelian, defines heaven as friendship with God. That's why he defines it that way. Because God willed to have something in common with us, right? And so, the necessary being became contingent in a manner. And so it's so utterly fascinating. So then when you do your meditation on your own possible non-existence and then your eventual death, then you turn to the life of Christ, and then you meditate on his death, and you realize, like, wow, and this is a line from Dr. Peter Crave, of all the men in the history of the world, he was the only one built to die. That death was his actual purpose of living. That we wouldn't even understand his teachings until he died, because death was not the end. And so when you meditate on the death of Christ, there's so much that, like, wells up within you. But one of those things needs to be, like, wait, there's an ellipses at the end. I thought there was a period, but wait, there's more. There's an ellipses at the end of death. So then that idea of the resurrection of the dead and eternal life has a feedback loop back into this life. Like, okay, so what I do actually has in this life, it doesn't mean this life is nothing. It means this life is impregnated with eternity. And that's why it's so powerful. Like when a priest dies, it says, those little cards they pass out, it says, born into life on such and such a day, ordained a priest on such and such a day, born into eternity on such and such a day. Mm-hmm. And I love that. It's not just priests that have that, but I love that notion, because it's like the death of Jesus Christ radically reframes what death is for humanity. He is the new man. He's the next evolution, so to speak. And so it's like entering into that or meditating on that then fundamentally alters how you view your own death. So I don't know. It's like you want to talk about receptivity. There's nothing more receptive than contemplating these kind of truths for an hour and a half when you're in college trying to figure out life. And you're like, you want to figure out life? Okay, start with your death and work backwards. And you're like, okay, that's pretty powerful.
If you could pick one communion meditation for your funeral, what would it be?
What do you mean communion meditation? Like the song?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me think about it. Probably the Pange, but what would you say?
The Beetle King and the Coconut Estate. But I would want the full-on orchestra. I want the French horns and the oboes
playing your secular music during mass.
It's not secular.
It is. It is.
Not. How is it secular? It is literally talking about
Holy
God
Communion.
The Father, and then it ends with "When I be utterly changed into fire," quoting one of the church fathers. How in the world? How in that?
Well, it's a weird rock song.
Yeah.
Number one.
So what? You don't think it would work?
I don't want to have this discussion. But I think
Gomer of 10 years ago would. Gomer of 10 years ago would.
Okay, let me tell you. If I were your priest, I would say that's a wonderful song to play after Mass or before Mass.
I'd be like, no, it's going to be played during Mass, or I'm going to have it.
Then I'd say you need to go to another parish. I think nothing. This is my daughter's favorite song, and then they get a boombox out and they play like Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and it's like, I get it. I know it's different. But I'm saying the emotional charge of that hits different. So now we're talking about this, and I didn't want to talk about this. But that's
no.
That's
we don't have to. We don't have to, because I actually have a better idea for us to go to. That's someone in the same vein.
Cool.
Actually, we should have a thing where we just have a normal conversation over the phone, and then we can just record it and upload it for people. Because we do talk about this stuff, but it's just
we do.
Talking.
We absolutely do.
All right, I want you to go to the link. I think this is a great way to kind of put a capstone on this conversation here.
All right, go into the link. Bloop. The angel of death came to David's room.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm a big fan of when we don't just talk about stuff. I really enjoy when you read poetry and then we talk about it, as opposed to always just commentating on things. So here's a great chance for us to both engage with art and then to also talk about it. So do you want the angel part or the David part?
Angel.
Good. There are way more lines. So you take the angel part. I will take the David part. We're going to just read through.
Okay, so I'm in the Google
the
lyrics, right? You click lyrics and okay,
yes.
Good.
So your angel.
Yeah. Here, we're just saying it. Friend, it's time to go.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Let me just back up here. So, these are the lyrics to the "Me Without You" song. The angel of death came to David's room. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead. Go.
Friend, it's time to go.
Angel, no. I think you've come too soon.
Sorry, friend. Now put your hand in mine.
There are strong Palm Sunday gospel reading vibes going on here right now. Okay, sorry. Okay. but good angel, don't I get a warning sign before it's my time to go?
A sign? Come now, David. Where's your grandma gone? Where's your grandpa gone? Their time came to go.
But I slew Goliath with the sling and stone. It's not my time to go.
And he'll be waiting for you when we get back home. It's time to go. Come now, David. Where's your mama gone? Where have all your aunts and uncles gone? Their time came to go.
Can I tell Solomon the things I've learned before it's my time to go?
Yeah, you definitely want to sing this.
I know, I really do.
I do too. I'm sorry, friend. That's none of my concern. It's time. It's time to go. Come now, David. Where's Uriah gone? Stranded on the battlefield, the troops withdrawn. His time came to go. Come now, David. Where's Bathsheba gone? And where have your binoculars and rooftops gone? And the unexpected baby from the bath night? Their time came to go. Come now, David. Where's everybody going?
Come now, David. Where is everybody going?
So for those of you who don't know, when he says can I tell Solomon the things I've learned? It's very sing-songy. That whole album is very sing-songy.
Yeah, it's great.
And then he gets to that part, and the music drops out, and he kind of, not whispers it, but says it, can I tell Solomon the things I've learned? Yeah. And it's very interesting. And then the whole music swells. That's none of my concern now. It's time to go. And then the whole thing swells and the whole band sings. I love this song so much. And I teach it to my kids.
Mm-hmm.
So the angel of death is here and calls him friend. And of course, David says what everyone says, you've come too soon. And he says, no, friend, put your hand in mine. Don't I get a warning sign? And the warning sign is everyone who's alive will die. Your grandma's gone. Your grandpa's gone. Goliath that you killed, gone. Uriah that you killed, gone.
I never thought about that. That's a beautiful point. That's a beautiful point. Yeah.
So if you look at it
that's the sign.
Right. So you look at the line, but I slew Goliath with the sling and stone. It's not my time to go. He's basically saying, look at my success, fame, and achievements. And the angel's response is, yeah, okay. He'll be waiting for you when we get back home, right? When we get back home. He'll be waiting for you when we get back home. It's time to go. And that, to me, when that line hit, when I was listening to the lyrics and listening to the song like the day the album came out, and that line hit my head, I was like, whoa, that's powerful. And then, and then he pulls the heartstrings like, look, I'm a dad. I got a son. Can I tell Solomon the things I've learned? And he's like, no, that's none of my concern.
Yeah.
You should have done that already. What, you need 6 minutes?
Yep.
6 years, 6 months? You should have already done that. Like, you knew you were going to die. Your mom died. Your dad died. The baby at your bath night died. Let's go. Like, it's time, and you know it's time. And it's like, no. And then, just think about the angel of death bringing these. It's almost like he brings charges. Where's Uriah? Where's Uriah? He's gone. You did that to him. Did he have a son that he wanted to talk to? Right? Did he have a mom that was still alive and a dad that was still alive? What about his fame? What about his success? What about his fortune? Tell me. It's like, oh, you artist.
It's so good. It's so good. It's so, and I just, I love the end that and it's time, not only look, you didn't give them any time.
Right.
It's time to make an account for what you have done. Right. It's time to face judgment. And, I think it's important I do think it's important that we keep in mind that we're going to be judged, and that God's justice is perfect. And so, and the only, to me, all that does is it just makes me want to repent. It's not about I'm going to let's just repent. Right. That's to me that's what, when we focus on death, one of the beautiful things that comes out of that is a desire to truly repent, to truly turn around, to truly change our lives, because because what's going to happen if we don't? We are pulling ourselves away from God. We are the ones that are we create and do a tremendous amount of injustice to ourselves and to others, and only Christ can fix that. Ultimately, there are things that we can do, but ultimately Christ is the one who can fix it. But we're the ones that create the problem with in the first place. It is basically the angel being it's time to clean up the wreckage of your past.
Yeah. And you have a certain allotment of days, And when you're young, you think that allotment will never be called to account, right?
Yeah,
What's the line
totally.
from the Doctor Strange, right? The bill always comes due.
The bill comes due. Always.
The bill. And yeah, you will die. If you're listening to us, you will die. I think like I try to prepare myself for my parents' death, but there's this one woman tells this story of she didn't get along very well with her mother. But when she died, I think I brought this up maybe like 5 years ago on the podcast, but when she died, she was so heartbroken and she cried and cried and cried. And she said, I guess what Blaise Pascal said was right. The heart has reason that reason knows not of. Meaning she wouldn't have known how much she actually loved and needed her mommy kind of thing as a grown, successful woman. I want to say she was a writer for the New York Times, something like that. And it so broke her heart that she was not expecting. And it's like, and she's like, I guess I really did love my mom. And it's like, how do you not know that? You know? But it's like, yeah, I mean, these are the things like now you're facing a new reality without those old constants. And those old constant things you took for granted that now death has kind of said, well, okay, I'm going to take these away. And now you can't, like, I think about this all the time. Like you can't go back in time. You can't, you're aware of all of these things. You can't go back in time to fix them now that they're gone. Like I coulda, woulda, shoulda, and there be dragons, but it's like, but it's true. So if you remember your death, you will hopefully go and do those things.
And that's why I think quite often, like, there's so much grace when I'm concerned to just like pray the litany of humility, because it's like, I don't want to waste time on myself. I want to waste time on others. You know, I want to waste time with God. I don't want to waste time on myself. I want to do good things. I want to, create good things. Like that's, I had shared this on the Substack at Easter. There's a poem by John Paul II when he was, I think he was just a priest. He may have been a bishop. I don't really know. That blind is driving me crazy. Now I can see it. Where he says like, when you are consumed with like the thoughts of like yourself and your own concerns, just be humble, like pray for like humility and work. It's like go out there and do stuff and like be a person for others, because what's the one Dostoevsky's like one line? It's like, it's not that you betrayed yourself, it's that you betrayed yourself for so little. And I was like, that is a gross paraphrase of that. Let me find it. It's a really powerful line.
Your worst sin is that you have destroyed and betrayed yourself for nothing.
There we go.
Notes from the Underground.
Ugh,
Your worst
crazy?
sin is that you have destroyed and betrayed yourself for nothing. Man has it all in his hands, and it slips through his fingers from sheer cowardness. Do you listen to the guy, I call him Jake, JVKE? Do you ever listen to his music? This is what falling in love feels like. This is what heartbreak feels like. This is what sadness feels like.
I know the name. No, I don't think so.
I love the guy. So my kids made a playlist of him, and it's like really good, like for me, work music, like
Is
office
he like
music.
Kind of a church rapper.
No, but he does songs with them, with like positive rap guys.
So he's like, I'm not a Christian, but like,
no, he is a Christian, but he's not a rapper. He's a singer. He's a singer, songwriter, or whatever. But he like wrote the like theme song to the Clifford movie, right? So like he has like a lot of mainstream success. But here's the song that I actually had to turn off because it reminded me of when my dad went to the hospital. It came up. Should have went for coffee on that Saturday you called me. Should have picked up my phone every time you tried to call me. But I never thought it'd be so soon. Never thought that I would lose you. 'Cause it's not that complicated. When you love someone, you tell them that you do. Don't waste a second or a breath. You don't know when you're going to lose them. Now they're gone, but you didn't make that call, and now you live with your regrets because he kind of screams out, it's all your fault. So he's yelling at himself. He's not yelling at the audience. He's yelling at himself. So it breaks my heart that I let you leave. Hurts my head seeing memories of you. There ain't a thing I wouldn't do to get a moment back with you. And I love this because it's like, this could be a parent. This could be, a girlfriend that broke an ex, whatever. So it breaks my heart that I let you leave. Been so hard learning how to grieve for you. I should have let you know the truth, because when you love someone, you tell them that you do. Should have came to visit more and give you my attention. Should have took more photographs. Emotional wreck.
You're fine. Fine.
and ask you all my questions, like, what would you do if you were me? It feels too soon to let you leave. You know, one of the things I gotta control myself here.
Do you want to take a second to breathe?
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I was putting up the blinds.
No, you're good. I wouldn't even
realize
pay
you were
attention
going
to
to
you.
do this. Okay, I was like,
windows
cool. He's
down.
like, what a song. I'm like, let me just put this up. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, he's getting a little emotional here. I should probably
I did not
stop.
expect to get this emotional.
No,
The
it's
heart has
fine.
reasons that reason knows not of.
Listen, we cry every 2 weeks on this podcast. It's
Certainly seems like the last 3 years. So anywho, that line should have took more photographs and asked you all my questions. My dad, it's so hard for him to leave the house that the only time he ever leaves is to go to doctor's appointments. It's the only time he ever leaves his house. And he has a walker and he can't raise his foot more than a couple inches off the ground. So he can never come over to my house again. Right? He can never come to a family meal at my home. He can never he didn't get to see my kids at the Shakespeare Festival. He hasn't seen my daughter, my generalized anxiety daughter who was terrified of having anyone's eyes on her, do not only was Macbeth in the Macbeth performance, which is incredible, but also 2 weeks before did a full ballet recital, which is something new she's doing this year. And it's funny because like I see that and I think of that, and I'm like, I don't have enough photographs of my dad with my kids. I have tons of photographs of my kids that I send to my dad and my mom, but I don't have a lot of photographs with them. And it's just like, it's like wild. Like you don't think about these things until they're gone. And when they're gone, you would do anything to get them back. But when you had them, I mean, gosh, I would love to take a photo, but I want to go home and watch another episode of USA Network's hit drama Suits. Like I'm busy with stupid shit that I will not remember 3 days from now.
I need to make Luke angry by saying this one guy is the greatest character in the history of television.
Oh my gosh, Louis Litt is the best character.
I was so mad at you about that.
Still standing by it. Anywho,
Does Don Draper not exist?
Still standing by it.
Took a good man's name and did nothing with it.
He can make a facial expression and change the entire tone of the show and also look like he's constipated at the same time. Perfect. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that comedy relief. I can't even read the rest of the, and I don't want to. No, it's mostly the next verse or the next, stanzas is what it is, but the rest is just repeated. When you love someone, you tell them that you do. That's the refrain. So I think that is powerful, and I wish I was better at that with my folks, and I got my own hangups and my own stupidity. But I know when I'm going to be standing there at both of their funerals, whenever that happens, that you can't say I love you too many times. And I feel like I haven't said it enough. So there's that for the audience.
You know, it's really funny. I was actually, one of the ideas I had for our next episode was to go through this one Me Without You song called Dorothy that's just been like on my heart. And I don't think we should. It'll be overkill. It'll be too much. But this is why it's important. I don't know like what else to say just besides that. Sometimes we think of like living for the moment as being debaucherous because we live in a debaucherous culture where everyone just lives for the moment. It's not that's actually not even true. It's just all
that's
like it's self-determination clinging to the moment. You know, like self-obsession clinging. Like there's something about like I had a thing to like. It's good to live in the moment and to see that this is all that I have. You know, they're like Christ tells us to like pay attention to today. Tomorrow has enough worries. And so when we're able to contemplate death, the end, it allows us to truly be more present in the moment, to take those pictures, to ask those questions. I think so much about like Everly, and when I spend time with her, I'm like, you're never going to be this age again. You know, like the other day, I started playing her. I couldn't take any more Gabby's Dollhouse songs. Or she knows the Gabby. She had half of the Gabby. There's a Gabby's Dollhouse film coming out in like September. The weekend the trailer came out, she had half of it memorized already. It's a little weird. No, you're obsessed with things. And so I was like, hey, like Daddy needs to change the music here. So we're gonna listen to. I went to this particular Me Without You album because it's a little bit like kid friendly. I think it's just like there are songs that easy to sing along to, kind of thing, right? And so then she wanted to see like more songs, and I encouraged her to explore like more of their catalog. And so I was like getting her ready, and I was like, hey, do you want to hear a weird song? I don't know why I did this, but so on YouTube, if you ever watched, this is off of their last album, the song Julia or Holy to the Lord on the Bells of Horses. It's
what
they're
on Julia.
it's on their on the Untitled album. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And in the video that they basically combine on like 1984 with Back to the Future. And I was like, and I mean it's a bit more like it's like an accessible harder song of theirs is how I would put it. And it definitely like it's one that's a little bit more about him wrestling with doubt. It's just which is like, you know, his MO. And she was like obsessed with it. And I was like, well, okay, we'll just get more, you know, but like it was that and Disaster Tourism. And then we had started with King Beetle and the Coconut Estate. And she loved that.
Yeah.
Like, I remember just kind of being like, you know what? Like, and she kept wanting to watch the Julia video over and over again. I'm like, this is a really weird. I don't know if I should be showing this music video.
Is this where they're like falling, and it's like, yeah, I like this.
It's the last scene in Back to the Future, like where they're playing as a band and they like all vanish.
Okay, yeah,
but it's like also like it's in the book 1984.
That's so funny.
It's really fascinating because like in the story there, the character Julia is kind of like a stand-in for God, and how I think the whole idea is that what they would call a like rigid interpretation of God being forced on you, and how like that is impossible, but God's always going to pursue you regardless of that, and God's going to always try to like these things we build up in our lives we have to keep, or to think that God is always like this, God can break that apart, you know. And I'm sure he's probably like in his interpretation that's a little bit more utilitarian. Sorry, a little bit more. What's a church where everything is like all the same? Universalist? That feels wrong. But like I'm like because I think there's this idea of like God has a gentle relentlessness to his pursuit of us. At times it's like a violent one, you know. But anyways, probably not appropriate for like a 5-year-old, right? She'll be 5 in about a week and a half. But there's this part of me that was just like, but she's never gonna be 5 and being like, what is like she like you could kind of see that she was like, what does this music video mean? Like, what is this song about? Like, what is this? But she was like really intrigued by it, and she wanted to like. She kept asking like, so what happened to him? Like, why are they doing this? But like she kept wanting to go back to it, and I was like, okay, again, probably too much on my part, but I love the fact that you're just so curious about this, and like you're not going to be able to get it, but like you want to. And I was like, this is never going to happen again. You know, she's going to get to an age soon where she's not going to be interested in that stuff yet. It'll seem too much, or like she will get it, you know, but like there won't be this kind of like pure childlike, I cannot comprehend this, but I'm so fascinated by it. And I was like, oh, I'm never going to like, I'm starting to see how every day she is different than the day before. And I want to just enjoy that. And like, just to bring it back, like, and it might be overkill, so I don't want to do that. Like,
I'm reading the lyrics.
To which one?
Julia.
Can't you just tell that it's very much like, I want to believe, but who are you?
Yeah.
It's great. It's a really, and the guy who plays bass for them, I believe it's bass, he has a side band called Geology where he does that song just on him on a acoustic guitar, and it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. They are I'm still like, I've been on like a bit of a kick of listening to their last couple of albums, and they're definitely more complex. There's more of like the doubt. They're not quite as on the head in terms of like the Christian stuff. And and from like on Pale Horse, he's especially on wrestling with his dad's death throughout the entire. So it's dark. I mean, it's dark and it's very apocalyptic. But it like to me, it's really like, it's not that they don't have any answers. It's that there's a lot of like wrestling with like this end that he knows is there. Like he knows the end is God, right? So it's not this like weird postmodern thing where it's like the like journey is the point. It's like you're here, but there's a lot of stuff that's in between that I'm trying to like work through. It's about that. Does that make sense at all? Yeah, but it's not like, again, it's like not the whole like, you know, here's like a, you know, it's not about the process as much as it is like trying to like wrap your head around the idea that I need to be okay with like this is a bit of a process. I think that's particularly that song. I think that is what it is about.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. I love the fact that they redid Back to the Future. It was a different music video than I was thinking about. The one I was thinking about was from the album with the carnival and the train that, you know.
Yeah. That's the one that I haven't really I remember when that came out, I was like, and this is a step too far even for me. I was like, this is I'm going to let this one go. The entire album is about a bear that has escaped from a circus train in 1879. LOI.
Yeah. Death is but a doorway, time is but a window. What do you think, Luke? Do you think we've done a show?
Yeah, I think we've done a show and then some. I mean, I'm willing to keep, like I can do voyeuristic pain all night long, but I think this is I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm saying no. I can continue and bring it to that point if you'd like.
There was a book written.
Offers on the table.
There's a book written. I wonder if I can see it from here. It's near my Ratzinger collection. I can't remember who wrote it, but it might be Peter Kraft. Might be in my Peter Kraft collection. Where do I have it? So many collections. No, that's Scott Hahn, you fool. It's probably somewhere in there, but it is like death as lover. And so it goes through like death as the enemy, death as the stranger, death as the friend, death as the lover. And it's like philosophical and theological reflections. And I love that. I love that because Game of Thrones called Death the Stranger. But the idea is like, this isn't a book that romanticizes death. What was the line? The opening thing was written by a guy who's like, oh great, here, I think it was Thomas Howard. Oh great, here comes another book, making light of death and romanticizing it. And then it's like, and then he does this and he talks about death as lover and how that's the ultimate way to view death. It's not the stoic, I welcome death as a stranger into my home, as an inevitability, but like I embrace death. And that's something that only those who can live forever will do. So friend, put your hand in mine. It's time to go.
All right. Thank you guys for going on this unexpected journey. We actually had 10-minute topics that people had given to our Instagram account in April that we haven't gotten to yet. It's the second time, but I think this is good. So yeah, thank you everyone for being here. Sorry about last week. We'll probably be back next week.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. I feel like I'm trying to think of like a fun way to end this, but what if we just fade away? Goodbye. LOI.
All right.